When the club members watched one of Franz's dummies wearing the suit come crashing into the ground, they rejected his design. Franz assured them his design could work, they just needed to see it in action from a slightly higher altitude. So, in 1911, Franz began petitioning to the city of Paris to allow him to test his design off of the Eiffel Tower, thereby showing that his design really did work. In 1912, the city said, okay, you know what, Franz? You can test your parachute on the Eiffel Tower. And so on February 4th of that year, Franz arrived at the tower, got out, and promptly put on his parachute suit. The crowd gasped. They couldn't believe he was going to be the one jumping off of the tower. Then Franz promptly turned around and began walking up the stairs towards the platform. And with him was a journalist who brought a camera. Once Franz reached the platform, the journalist began filming him, and his video would capture Franz climbing up onto the railing and then hesitating. And he anxiously begins kind of rocking back and forth like he's debating whether he's really going to do this. And then at some point, he works up the courage and he jumps. And immediately his suit collapses and he slams into the ground instantly.